For centuries, science has been searching for the answer. Yet, time just slips through our fingers. According to Einstein, there is no shared time, everyone lives their own. Two clocks, two speeds, two different realities in the same universe. Quantum physics goes even further. Maybe time doesn't even exist at all, just a process, a web of connections. Atomic clocks whisper, promising constancy. And yet, our measurements depend on the observer. If there's no shared time, then what do we call passing? And if it doesn't even exist, why can't we live without it? To truly understand what time is, we need to look at how we invented it. Perhaps the greatest secret isn't hidden in the depths of the universe, but in the moments of the human mind. Time, something we humans made up. The reality we call time might not be part of the universe at all, but our own invention. Long before the word time even existed, people watched days turn into nights. Survival needed a rhythm. When should we plant? When should we hunt? When will it get cold? A calendar wasn't just a nice thing to have. A calendar was life-saving technology. Cave paintings by torchlight, moons carved into bones and stones, big standing stones lined up with the sunrise, Stonehenge, Nabta Playa. That's how people wove nature's rhythm into their survival. The calendar was the first time machine. It didn't take us anywhere, but it told us exactly when to make our move. The 24-hour day wasn't some mysterious thing. It was actually very practical. Under the stars shining over the Nile, people watched as the night arranged itself into patterns. The ancient Egyptians counted 12 star risings, called decans, to measure the hours of darkness. And they followed the same rhythm for the daytime hours too. 12 divides nicely. It's stable, reliable. So the day got a rhythm. 12 bright hours, 12 hours of shadow, making 24 in total. Water clocks dripped through the night. Sundial shadows pushed the day forward. Hieroglyphs and star clocks turned the sky into a kind of schedule. A world split in two, half day, half night. Time was read from the sky, carved in stone, kept in flowing water. The cosmos didn't decide, we did. The Babylonians didn't think in tens. They used a base 60 number system. And 60 is a mathematical marvel. It can be divided by 2, it can be divided by 3, it can be divided by 4, it can be divided by 5, it can be divided by 6, it can be divided by 10, it can be divided by 12, it can be divided by 15, it can be divided by 20, it can be divided by 30. So, what does this mean for us? 60 seconds make a minute, 60 minutes make an hour, and even the 360 degrees in a circle come from this same idea. A custom thousands of years old still shapes how we experience the passing of minutes, tick by tick, division by division, bringing order from numbers. All over the world, civilizations understood time in different ways. The Maya saw reality as connected cycles. Chinese timekeeping moved to the rhythm of the sky animals. Roman months were shaped more by politics than by the stars. Our modern calendar is based on a papal correction. There is no single correct time, only agreements. Cultures rose, cultures faded, and each one named a different now. We didn't invent time to understand the universe, we invented it to understand each other. The questions were simple. When do we meet? When do we harvest? When do we set off? When will the lean years come? When do we start the common rhythm? Time gave us a framework, and that framework gave us safety. Time became the first global human language, the greatest tool for cooperation, the cornerstone of civilization. And perhaps deep in the universe, nature doesn't keep track of time and has no calendar. We are the ones who put them there so we could move forward together. Now that we see, most of time isn't a cosmic law, but a human creation. It's time to ask the next question. What happens if we compare our human clocks to nature's true rules? Next up, Chapter 3. Our time systems. When human rhythm meets the cosmos. As our human rhythms meet the cosmos, we start with a basic understanding. Let's start with the basics. Einstein's groundbreaking theory says there's no single, universal time. Your present isn't the same as mine. Each of our clocks follows its own path. The passing of time depends on the observer, on where you are and how fast you're moving. The speed of light is constant, so everything else, even time itself, has to adjust. This realization shattered the idea of one single world clock. According to Einstein, space and time aren't separate things, but a single, four-dimensional fabric. Mass and energy press into this fabric, creating curves, waves, and bends. Gravity isn't a force in the old way we thought about it, but the shape of space-time itself. Light rays, planets, and even us, we all follow this curved path. Where the fabric is more deeply curved, clocks tick slower. Every observer moves along their own personal world line. This is your own rhythm in space-time. The journey, the speed, the gravity, all shape what you call 1 second. Two paths can end at the same destination, yet show different times on the clock. Your current path is your own trail, and this is more than just a thought. It's a measurable fact. On a city street, on a mountain ridge, travelers on parallel routes drift apart by tiny bits of time. High above the clouds, an airplane glides in weaker gravity. Its clock ticks just a little faster. Side by side, identical clocks quietly drift apart, each honoring its own journey. If you draw these paths on a slightly curved grid, you'll see white paths weaving through the fabric. The shortest path in space isn't always the shortest in time. Motion and mass rewrite the map, and when we understand our own world line, we see the flow differently, and we see each other differently too. Because every path shines at its own pace, and together our paths lead towards shared moments of light. The faster you move, the slower time passes for you. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, motion stretches time. Your minutes will be longer compared to someone else's clock. Passenger planes, supersonic fighter jets, spacecraft. The difference is tiny, but we can measure it. Imagine two identical clocks starting at the same time. One travels fast, the other stays home. The traveling clock comes back, showing less time has passed. Cut to runners, cyclists, train speed displays flashing higher. Split screen, one clock is fixed in a quiet room, the other speeds through blurred streets and sky. They tick in perfect silence, yet they drift apart. As speed increases, gamma rises and proper time shrinks. The path in space-time becomes longer in space, shorter in experienced time. Your world line bends with motion. Even side by side, identical clocks follow their own paths. Precision tells the story. Nanoseconds here, microseconds there. Proof that time isn't a single beat, but a rhythm shaped by your motion. It's not just movement that bends time. Gravity does too. The deeper you are in a gravitational field, the slower your clock ticks. On a mountaintop, time passes a little faster. At sea level, a little slower. It's a tiny difference, but it's real. Look at this footage. Two clocks, one high on a mountain ridge, the other at sea level. Slowly they drift out of sync. Space-time curves around mass. This curve slows down all processes. It's not an illusion, but a measurable phenomenon. You see the grid bending around the Earth. Zoom in on the macro beats. The rhythm softens. The particle light flickers between the beats. Gravitational wells aren't just about attraction. They're about slow time too. Climb out of them and your seconds stretch out. And your seconds truly stretch out. You've seen a clock slow down in Earth's gravity. Now, let's push that idea to the very edge. Near a black hole, seconds can stretch into hours. Watch the accretion disk burn. Hot plasma orbits a dark center. It doesn't reflect, it just bends. Even light itself bends due to gravitational lensing. The clock face itself warps, as if melted by geometry. Approach the event horizon, and for an outside observer, time almost stops. The frames freeze, the pulses stretch, the rhythm fades. Inside, paths are irreversible. The geometry of space-time decides. Cross the horizon, and every future points inward. What's a moment outside can be a whole lifetime inside. The deeper the well, the slower the clock ticks. This goes to the point where escape isn't even an option. Event horizon, dark center, ring of fire, slow waves. The universe edits time here, not as an illusion, but as a form of reality. From cosmic time bending to your pocket, GPS works because we correct for relativity. GPS satellites orbit Earth, Ground stations listen, and your receiver triangulates. The clocks on GPS satellites need constant correction. The higher the altitude, the weaker gravity is, so their clocks run faster. But because of their high orbital speed, they run slower. The two effects add up. The net shift is tens of microseconds per day. Even nanosecond errors mean meter-level position shifts. Without correction, your position would drift by kilometers in a single day. Control segments upload timing offsets, and receivers apply relativistic models in real time. Relativity isn't a theoretical luxury, it's everyday infrastructure. Map view. Without corrections, your pin drifts. With them, it's tightly locked. The accuracy of reality, calibrated by relativity. Our time systems are the result of a big cosmic compromise. Nature flows continuously and we draw boundaries around it. Let's start with the simplest thing. Every unit of time is artificial. The day, the hour, the minute. Calendars from the change of day and night. Hours from shadows. Minutes from rhythm. These frames help us move together, but the cosmos didn't choose these. We did, and yet these agreements hold our world together. Even our satellites respect this agreement. We adjust human clocks to relativistic reality so that maps fit precisely with the Earth beneath our feet. Compromise, not concession, calibration. In the modern age, we've set time in stone, for good, not carved in rock, but as vibrations. Today, the second is defined by the exact vibration of a cesium-133 atom. Atomic clocks on Earth, in airplanes, and on satellites measure this, with nanosecond precision. This timekeeping drives our systems. Communication, navigation, power grids, finance, everything moves to a precise beat. Without this accuracy, our world would start to fall apart in minutes. 9,192,631,770 cycles, each one a step in our shared heartbeat. There's the time we measure, and then there's the time we live. The clock's hands move steadily, our minds not so much. The clock shows the same time in a waiting room and during a sunset, yet time feels different. Measured time is our common language. Lived time is our inner rhythm. And when these two align, that's when we find our rhythm with the world, and with ourselves. Breathe. Feel how the moment is both heavy and light. We wish so much for a rewind button. Physics actually offers a tempting sketch. Wormholes, Einstein-Rosen bridges, shortcuts in curved spacetime. On paper, they exist. In reality, however, they are chaotic and fragile. A tunnel, connecting two gravitational fields, rips at its own seams. The smallest disturbance, a stray photon, blue shifts, bounces back, and closes the gate. To hold it open, you would need exotic matter with negative energy density. Even then, turbulence, quantum fluctuations, and causal feedback would trigger a collapse, a flash, a narrowing, darkness. Hawking called this the chronological protection conjecture. The universe enforces consistency. So why can't we visit the past? Because every path we draw there falls apart under its own gravity. To keep a wormhole open, you'd need negative energy density, exotic matter, which the universe doesn't provide in large amounts. The flashes of the quantum vacuum could theoretically do it, but only in tiny, fleeting bursts, which are limited by quantum inequalities. Imagine two metal plates, the Casimir effect, squeezing the vacuum between them. This creates a tiny slice of negative energy. It's real but very faint and disappears quickly, not enough to prop open a cosmic tunnel. Our support beams fade. The edge of the light trembles. The infographics jump with short, negative dips, then silence. Without sustained exotic matter, the portal shrinks, folds in on itself, and collapses into darkness. Even if we could keep a wormhole open, stepping into the past messes up the whole idea of cause and effect. A metronome ticks backward, the grandfather paradox, an action that erases its own beginning. Pages write and erase the same sentence, the information paradox, objects' ideas. If the end rewrites the start, what kicks off the story? Family trees twist into loops. Some theories demand self-consistency, events bend but never break the loop. Others split the path, a new branch for every change. Cause, effect, flashes, then fades into static. Nature doesn't like loops. Cosmic censorship and timeline protection whisper a boundary into spacetime. Nature hides its naked singularities and smothers stable time loops before they can even breathe. Event horizons draw the curtain, geometries try to open up, then snap shut again. Near perspective closed time-like curves, quantum jitters swell into storms, amplifying the noise until the gates fall silent. Causality reasserts itself not with a bang, but with a hush. Those paths that would rewrite history lose their coherence, they unravel, they collapse. The past is not a schedule, it's a boundary condition. If the universe has an editor, this is its red pen. Protect consistency, bury paradox. The lattice folds beneath the horizon, access denied. Stepping into the future is already possible. It's not magic, it's time dilation. When you speed up, your time slows down. The same journey, fewer seconds for you. An astronaut's minutes can become Earth's years. The difference is tiny in everyday life, but at cosmic speeds, it's huge. This is how we travel to the future, with movement, not magic. Acceleration stretches your journey through space and compresses your own time. You travel, and you experience fewer seconds. The clocks on Earth show more while you feel less. Two identical clocks start, one speeds away, the other stays. When they reunite, different readings, same story. This is relativity, something we experience, not an illusion. At relativistic speeds, the differences become huge. On the ship, only minutes pass, while on Earth, years fly by. On your world line, less personal time passes. At the reunion, the same hug is in a different era. The journey into the future is possible, for the price of speed. The question is, which way do we turn the focus ring? With speed and gravity, we've bent time. But what if time itself isn't fundamental? At the quantum level, there's no universal ticking. What exists are events and the relationships between them. Particles don't march to a cosmic metronome. They appear, interact, disappear. The pattern is the story. The clock is just our summary. In some models, time emerges from entanglement. When one part plays clock, the others evolve relative to it. No clock, no flow, just relationships. Zooming out, decoherence gives direction, from past to future, from quantum possibilities. Up close, this arrow blurs. And in certain equations of quantum gravity, time doesn't even appear. The universe simply is. Our idea of past and future might be the shadow of a deeper structure. If minutes can stretch into years, perhaps the flow can dissolve into patterns. The question before us is, how does time emerge from timelessness? In some quantum gravity theories, the letter T isn't even in there, meaning time itself isn't in the formulas. Yet these theories describe reality perfectly. Instead of there being one big clock that controls everything, possibilities come from the connections between states. What can happen is coded in how things link to each other, not in how time passes. If the math works without time, then maybe time is just a kind of bookkeeping, which comes from the complex entanglement of things, from approximations, and from the blurring of details. It only shows up when we look at the universe from the inside. In loop quantum gravity, time isn't a smooth flow, but rather a series of distinct clicks, or steps at the Planck scale. Each click is like a jump between allowed states, more like a staircase than a slide. If we look closer, space is a network of tiny loops. Areas exist in quantum bits, and volumes exist in quantum bits. So, change happens in beats. When we zoom out, many clicks blend together into a continuous flow. The world appears smooth, a current emerging from microscopic rhythms. There's no need for a central clock. The connections between states create the rhythm. The universe ticks, and we call that time. The past doesn't just vanish. It stays as quantum information, etched into the patterns of states. An invisible wind ripples through the leaves. Every interaction leaves a mark, delicate connections that can be read if you know the code. Entanglement, decoherence, the quiet accounting of reality. Here, history isn't stored in a book, but in connections. Spin networks, boundary states, conditional probabilities. The The fabric remembers how things connect. The image remains on the glowing network. Unitarity is the promise that information is preserved, even as forms change. What happened becomes structure, and the structure is the past, preserved, fades to black. We call it time. The universe calls it correlation. We said the universe remembers through correlations. So why does time feel like it only goes one way? Because messiness, or entropy, tends to increase. This increase is what we feel as flow. An egg breaks. The pieces don't jump back together. Smoke spreads in the dark. It won't rewind itself. Cream spreads in coffee. A few reversed frames look creepy, then reality takes over. The clock hand moves forward. That's what we're used to. But the arrow beneath it is thermodynamic. The past. Lower entropy, tighter structure. The future. Higher entropy patterns, more possibilities. What has happened becomes an arrangement. What lies ahead becomes a probability. Is this the growth of possibilities? This is the direction we call time. The second law. In closed systems, entropy increases. There are many more messy microstates than ordered ones. This means the world tends to spread out and smooth itself. That's why the arrow points forward, toward what's more likely. As cold gas warms up and evens out, as ice turns into water, as grains fall and a pile flattens, statistics choose the future. Memories, cause and effect, investigative clues. They all come from this growing entropy gradient. Records are the patterns left by irreversible mixing. Low entropy becomes the past, a tight structure. High entropy opens up possibilities, the future. If the universe suddenly rearranged itself, the arrow of entropy would disappear. The past and future would become impossible to tell apart. The structure that holds our memories would crumble. We wouldn't be living life backward. We simply wouldn't know what was happening to us. The feeling of time doesn't come from the laws themselves, but from the likely patterns they allow. When messiness tends to spread, causes leave behind clues, and we call that direction forward. Take away the spreading, erase the clues, and the arrow fades into a faint, dying pulse. What if time isn't really a thing, but a pattern that we read? Not a gear in the cosmos, but the whisper of order rising from the noise. Just watch. Where connections weave a web, a direction appears. The connections become tighter, a rhythm emerges. We call this before, and then after. See how matter slows down, moving like it's breathing. Dust particles line up, then they dissolve. A shadow stretches across the network of connections. From this, a clock is born. Clocks are not the source, they are mirrors. Reflections of deeper processes, the redistribution of energy, the settling of information, the formation of structures, their collapse, and their reformation. In the forest of data, arrows appear, where disorder would rather spread. The cause leaves traces. Memories pile up like sediment. We feel the tilt, and we call it time. But take away the spread, erase the footprints. Let the networks loosen, let the connections fade to grey, and the arrow weakens into a faint dying pulse. If time is a story the world tells, when patterns persist, then tell me, when the pattern disappears, where is time? Here's an idea. Your sense of time is born right where your attention meets change. Your mind loves patterns, and entropy pulls things towards disorder. Between these two, a rhythm appears. Watch your breath. In, out. Tiny tides that mark a shore no clock can touch. Feel your pulse, counting in the dark, a metronome your body writes on its own ocean. Your eyes blink, they follow, they predict. Where there's lots of movement, seconds fill up with details. Where nothing changes, seconds just drift by, flat and pale. It's not the clock that counts, it's your attention that organizes. A minute in a waiting room, still air, a buzzing neon light, the same magazine cover, the same worn tile. Entropy barely moves. Your attention has nothing to work with. Your mind loops, pulling an empty thread. A minute blows up into a slow balloon. A sunset minute. Clouds turn into ribbons. Light pours like liquid gold. Shadows climb the walls. Sand avalanches in miniature. Smoke twists and curls. The language of crowds melts away. Entropy blooms, attention dances. A minute folds into a bright, breathing moment. It's not the clock that counts, it's your attention that organizes. Follow the tiny jumps of your pupils, an edge, a color, a movement, a face. Every tiny discovery plants a flag. More flags, more landmarks, more remembered steps, and later the path feels long. Less change, fewer anchors, and later the journey feels short. Measured time versus lived time. The same amount of time, but the density of patterns folds it differently. Breathe again. Pulse again. The sand settles, the smoke disperses. The whisper of order melts into mist. Your mind gathers the embers, calls it before, then after, and lights a hallway for you to walk through. It's not the clock that counts, it's your attention that organizes. So for the next hour, put your watch away. Pay attention to the inner rhythm, breath, pulse, gaze, and let your attention organize the changes of the world into the time you live. In the block universe, everything that has ever happened already exists as one giant space-time sculpture. It's not a river that flows, but a landscape that simply is. Imagine a book where every page exists at the same time. The first kiss is there, bound in the spine. The last goodbye is also there, bound in the spine. We feel movement because we read it line by line, page by page. But the whole story has always been there. Imagine a space-time grid. Coordinates, where coordinates, when woven into a grid. Light cones rise and fall like glowing pyramids, cut out to show what can touch what. Between them hang scenes, frozen pictures, a child's laughter, a star collapsing, a hand let go, all next to each other, all eternal in the block. Your world line is a thread that crosses this tapestry. It's not speeding, it's already laid out. The flow you feel, breath, pulse, gaze. The mind that strings slices into order, putting cubes together into a personal arrow. Here lies the contradiction. We experience the flow, yet physics outlines a motionless whole. The clock of entropy sets the gradient. Memories paint the past. Anticipation sketches the future. But in the block, these are just viewpoints, not transitions. So what is now? A plane we choose to slice through the sculpture. A cognitive beam scanning the grid. Or simply the grammar of experience layered over a timeless text. If all pages already exist, what turns them? What chooses the next page? Imagine the block, the whole thing. Quiet, it's already done. So what moves? Maybe just the reader. Time as attention sampling frames, a metronome breath, a blink, a heartbeat, cut, and we call this flow. Inhale, hold, exhale. Watch the page turn, again. Inhale, hold, exhale. The story doesn't move, you move. Your lifeline is a thread in the tapestry, but the needle is consciousness. It picks a piece, lights it up, and blurs the rest. Memory paints the before. Expectation sketches the after. Entropy tips the gradient, and attention rides it. The frames come together into a private arrow. We borrow order from disorder. Connections become rhythm. From connection, from attention, and from randomness. Time emerges. Practice. Breathe in. Hold. Let it out. Notice the cut that appears between moments. Listen to the ticking without chasing it. Feel the page turn by itself when you don't push it. If every page already exists, then the now is your finger touching its edge. Follow if you want to keep turning the pages of reality. Why does this matter to us? Beat. It matters because even in timelessness, we give weight to every moment. Our decisions mark out the present, not the clock, but our intention. Every choice is a statement, every step a new focus. We draw the map with our movement. Signposts appear where courage meets clarity. In a universe that doesn't count the seconds, we create meaning with our choices. The question isn't whether time passes, but what you fill it with. If every moment already exists, then freedom isn't lost. You just pick the slice you live in. A choice is like a tiny little change, from which change is then born. You control the focus, and with it, the rhythm of your story. Freedom, presence, choice. If every moment already exists, then freedom isn't lost. Instead, it's about where you put your focus. You get to pick which part of life you want to live in. Time might be an illusion, but what you feel is real. Open the window to the morning light. Take that first step outside. A close-up, a deep breath in, a tiny smile, a handshake, a message sent. When you look at it this way, tomorrow isn't scary, it's an invitation. How does this change you? I'll tell you, you'll live braver. Montage, the light of a sunset, steady running steps, stepping through a door into the light. Breathe, choose, step. The moment gets its meaning from you. We live in time, like a fish lives in water, surrounded by it, kept alive by it, yet unable to truly grasp it. It touches every breath we take, but slips through our fingers when we try to hold its shape. So, what is it really? Calendars, clocks, minutes, seconds. These are our tools, human scaffolding, put up against the sky to tame its rhythm. 24 hours and 60 seconds are not cosmic commands. They are agreements, decisions, carved in stone by civilizations to synchronize our lives. The confusion starts when we mistake these cultural rhythms for nature's time. Our intuition whispers of a single, shared present. One big now ticking for everyone. Physics tells a different story. There's no universal present, no master clock humming beyond the stars. This is why time seems like a paradox. The tension isn't in the universe, it's in our own projections. We're putting human categories onto something that isn't human. We're asking the cosmos to stick to our schedule. So let's allow the numbers to loosen their grip. Let the clock face melt away. What remains isn't emptiness, but a question sharpened by honesty. If the frame was ours all along, what is time when the frame fades? What is time, really? Einstein broke down the idea that there's one single shared clock. There is no universal now. We all travel on a personal path through space-time, and our clocks don't agree. Movement stretches time, acceleration stretches time, gravity stretches time. If you move fast, your own time goes slower. If you go deeper into a gravity, well, even slower. Two clocks can tick next to each other on a wall, yet their real speeds are different as they separate due to movement or height. You can see it in the sky. GPS satellites tick a little faster than clocks on Earth's surface. We constantly correct their time, mixing the slowing down caused by speed with the speeding up caused by weaker gravity, so a blue dot can pinpoint your position within meters. Imagine a stretchy space-time grid that bends around mass, beams of light showing possible futures, runners, trains, airplanes that slide between motion blur and slow motion. Mountains pull time a little slower than the open sea. While we pretend there's one tempo, nature beats in a million overlapping rhythms. Einstein's theory of relativity smashed the idea of one single universal now. Quantum theory goes even further. It suggests that time itself might not be fundamental. At the deepest levels, reality might move forward in discrete ticks. States change, like pixels refreshing on a screen. The past doesn't just disappear. It's etched in as quantum information, spread out in connections. But we can't step back into it. Wormholes tempt us in equations. Yet, they fall apart in reality. They need negative energy and exotic matter, which it seems we don't have enough stable supply of. Cosmic censorship probably protects cause and effect, stopping paradoxes from popping up. The future, however, is reachable. If you speed up really fast or dive into deep gravity, your own time slows down. You leave, you return, and arrive much further ahead. Your minutes, our years. So why do we feel time goes only one way? Because entropy increases, order spreads out, ink mixes, sand doesn't climb back up the glass. The growing mess draws that arrow we call forward, while the universe keeps its overlapping rhythms, and our clocks keep their fragile peace. Maybe time doesn't really exist the way we think it does. Perhaps every moment exists together like the pages of a huge cosmic book. We read them in order, and we call this time. If that's the case, then time isn't a feature of the world, but of the mind. Consciousness picks out a pattern from the noise, and from this order comes the feeling of flow. Then the question comes up. If every page is already written, what is free will? Our choices might be woven into a timeless structure, and yet they are real to us because we experience them from the inside. Time might be an illusion, but life within it is not. Maybe time is a story that the universe tells about itself, and you are the one who gives meaning to this story.
I really wanna say I